Paso. Let's jump out to our Village Inn hotline right now, where all of our guests always appear. And with us, as I mentioned a moment ago, award-winning producer, a man that's been with ESPN going on 15 years now, as well as a guy that knows a little something about Cleveland sports, and that's Andy Billman from the latest 30 for 30 Believeland, which debuted about 2 weeks ago. Andy, appreciate you joining us here in El Paso on Sportstalk. How are you?
Thanks, you guys, for having me. I'm doing great.
I'm sure you, like a lot of Cleveland and Ohio natives, excited about tomorrow, excited about the NBA Finals, and what a great run it's been so far for LeBron and company.
No, it's been fantastic. I mean, this is what we're about as Cleveland fans. We're all sucked in. We're ready for whatever's going to happen. I'm hoping for great things, obviously, as we always do. But it's been very exciting. I mean, the Cavs have been on such a run, and even with a couple losses last series against Toronto, they really played well to wrap it up in Toronto last Friday. It's been weird. It's been such a break between games. It felt like Toronto and Cleveland was like a month ago. So I think for Clevelanders, we're ready for this thing to get going, especially now that, this just feels like, and this has felt like this in the past with the 97 Indians, with the mid-'80s Browns, I'd also say. God, it feels like it's our year if you're a Cleveland fan. It really feels like it's going to be the time.
Tell me this much. You've kind of echoed the mood and the sentiment surrounding this NBA Finals. But, a lot of fans had a hard time with LeBron when he left to go to Miami. Now he's
jerseys
back.
Being burned. Remember that?
Yep, jerseys being burned, that's right. But now you look at it, 2 years in a row now, Andy, 2 straight trips to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking me this. I think to go back, I mean, obviously we were all angry as Cleveland fans what happened that night in 2010. And then I think, as hopefully the film portrays, I took a better understanding why LeBron did it. And, we still weren't happy with it, but I think there was some sort of understanding. And then, of course, when he came home, it was an unbelievable triumph for us as Clevelanders. To go to back-to-back finals is tremendous. And he's always going to be looked upon as very positively. But as we all know in sports, championships are that other box that people look at really largely. And that's how I work, too. It's big. This is a big NBA Finals. I will say what I think helps LeBron in Cleveland, and the Cavaliers especially, is that we're underdogs. There's no doubt most national prognosticators, even my own company, ESPN, with their charts, it seems like everybody's got Golden State, and they should be. They have a 73 wins, and they're a very, very good team. I think that will help out LeBron and these guys in this next round. I also think playing so down on players last year, no Love, really no Kyrie after game one, I think will be a big help this year. And I will say this, there seems to be a better positive spin this year. I think last year, even I realized, I didn't think after Kyrie and down that the Cavs really had a shot to win it all. This year, much more positive thinking going into the series.
Well, let's put it this way. The Cavs had a 2-1 lead last year, and it was almost like LeBron doing it all by himself. He was carrying that team on his shoulders. But now...
And he got him 6 games, too.
That's right. Now you've got the supporting cast. They're all healthy. And Kevin Love came alive at the end of that Toronto series. So it's going to make it real interesting.
Agreed. I mean, the bench is... I mean, I was even looking at the box score before I was coming on with you guys from the Thunder. I mean, literally, really, Waiters was the only guy coming off the bench for Oklahoma City. In the case of the Cavs, they almost go 9 or 10 deep in certain games. Now, that's going to change against Golden State. I mean, I should even be realistic as a Cavs fan. At times, you're going to have to string out some of these stars a little longer. And Kevin Love's going to be an interesting watch. That's something that's been talked about a lot in Cleveland because, obviously, defensively, he's not as strong as some other players. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. If he's playing late in the fourth quarter, there's going to be probably some games where Kevin Love's not going to be in late in the game for defensive reasons. But all those things that is talked about were never the options last year for the Cavs. It was like, Shumpert, JR, LeBron, good luck. Don't get hurt, please. Don't cramp. Nothing. This is it, guys. We have no other options looking back. So to what you're just saying, the options are there. The Cavs have really grown under Tyronn Lue. I don't think I don't know what the perception is in El Paso, but I have noticed a lot of change under his leadership with the Cavs in the last few months. He's done a really nice job, and he's only a rookie coach to do what he's had to do in this situation. I think he's done a really good job.
Was David Blatt frustrating you and a lot of Cleveland fans?
Yeah, I think so. I think Blatt, in a way, though, too, to be fair to him, kind of got put into a situation where I don't think he knew what he signed up for. For people who forget, he took the job before LeBron came into town. We were looking at Brandon Haywood. I mean, we were looking at like other guys that come into Cleveland, and then all of a sudden that whole SI thing broke and everything changed. So I think Blatt was going into a situation kind of thinking, okay, a lot more team movement, a lot more team-oriented things. And then when LeBron comes in, and in fairness to LeBron, he is such a great player and has such great leadership. That changes everything. I don't know if that's what Blatt really signed up for, but to your initial question, of course. I mean, that Bulls series, when he almost called that timeout when the Cavs didn't have any timeouts, oh, my God, I thought I was going to say as a Cavs fan. That was terrible. That was a really, really, really nerve-wracking moment. But again, fairness to Blatt, I don't know if he really knew what he was getting into because, again, he had signed before LeBron had come on board.
Andy Billman with us right now from the ESPN 30 for 30 series, Believeland, which we'll get to in a moment as we continue on Sportstalk.
Eddie, if it happens and LeBron company, they win the championship, I mean, how is LeBron going to be viewed? I know he's viewed in the positive light, but now does he become an instant god in Cleveland?
Oh, I mean, he's going to be named after streets. Many statues will be built. Lake Erie might become Lake LeBron. I mean, everything is going to change in Cleveland for multiple reasons. He's done a lot for that city and a lot for Northeast Ohio. He's done a lot for the city of Akron as well. I should include that. There's no doubt. I mean, he will be, everybody will be. I mean, J.R. Smith to Shumpert to Kevin Love to Kyrie. I mean, the town is so thirsty for a championship that all those guys, David, and honestly, Dan Gilbert, too, will be held on a higher level. He's had a big impact in that city. He's done a lot of things for that city. So it's across the board. Yeah, LeBron's already, I think, a god. I think he'll take another jump. But like I said, I guess one thing maybe you can do left is name Lake Erie Lake LeBron after something like this if they were ever to win.
Do you see LeBron sticking around if they win a championship and wanting to just keep this thing rolling in Cleveland?
I think so. I mean, you can never predict, especially with the climate of today's any kind of sports meeting. The Cavs might do some moves in the offseason, and LeBron might look elsewhere to go. I mean, it's always tough to tell, but I would say in either case, even if they lose, I think LeBron's coming back only because of how he came back to Cleveland in 2014. I think it'd be tough to leave, but again, I'm a smart businessman as well. Things can change. Off-season moves can be done. Maybe some crazy trade happens, and different feelings are happening. But from what I can tell, I think LeBron's going to stay in town, no matter what, win or lose. I don't foresee him leaving.
Now, for somebody like yourself, what I said earlier, almost 15 years now with ESPN, you've called Believeland your dream film. Has this been something you've been thinking about ever since they started the 30 for 30 series?
It's a very good question. In 2009, I came on as an associate producer. And once I got a grasp of what the series was, I told my boss at the time, John Dahl, still my boss today, it would be kind of a cool idea to do one on Cleveland. And as kind of like anything else when it comes to these films or film topics, it takes different paths. And in the case of this one, we kind of sat on it. And he said, well, why don't you create your storyboard for what you want to do? And then from there kind of morph. So Cleveland was always talked. I think I started talking to John about that in 2010. But once the decision happened, it took a different turn. I mean, even me being a lifelong Clevelander and a Cleveland fan, the decisions went as a Cleveland fan. It took a whole nother level as a Cleveland fan, meaning the shot, the drive, the fumble, the move. It took a whole new meaning and a whole new mythology that I had never seen before. I mean, T-shirts were being made of these things, and frankly, I bought some of them. I mean, I got them as Christmas gifts, so I'm part of it too, but it took a whole nother level. And then we started really getting into production of it in 2012, so that's kind of your timeline. But, yes, I thought about it initially, and I always told people, I wouldn't say Cleveland's the best sports fans. That's not fair. There's great fans around the country. But I think Cleveland's got a unique sports side, and hopefully that came through in the film Believeland.
Was it easy for you to grab different personalities to put this together, whether it was media, athletes, former athletes, so on and so forth?
Always challenging. Any film's always challenging. And that doesn't go just for Believeland. I've done this now for 7 years for 30 for 30. You always have some hills and valleys when it comes to getting anybody to participate in a film. So Believeland was not. Actually, Believeland was kind of par for the course. So to your question, actually some were really. Craig Elo really wanted to talk about the shot. Ernest Biner, hopefully that was portrayed in the film. He never talked about the fumble. He really wanted to come on and talk about this stuff. And there were some others too who were like, I'm ready to share about what happened, and that's what makes it great. When it comes to actually building the film, the one thing that I did was I put a lot of non-Clevelanders around me to help rein me in, so that way I wouldn't go too crazy on things, because I think that's important when you're building any kind of storyboard. So it was definitely a challenge, and the one thing that I always did when I was making this film was take long walks, and always had a good cup of like Starbucks beside me, and then on the weekend Starbucks with Bailey's, something to help take the edge off a little bit.
This project was 75 minutes long. Could you have made this 120 minutes if you really wanted to?
I could have made it 240 minutes, in my opinion, if you wanted to. We definitely that got brought up as any does in any film. It got brought up in discussion several times. But as we really started making the film, the one thing that I kind of concluded to, along with a couple others, was the timing and the rhythm of the film actually felt a lot better at 77. We had at one point 2 cuts, and when we were watching them, I just loved the idea of doing a 77-minute film, and so did they. So we chose that path. But we could have certainly sat on things longer and do 100 minutes. But I'll be honest with you, that can go for any film, not just my film. That can go for any film that we do, and that's always a debate wherever we come through. So to your question, yes, I would have made a 7-part series about Cleveland, because I'm a Clevelander. I would have analyzed everything from Johnny Manziel to what's going on today with Tyler Naquin coming up for the Indians. I mean, everything. So, that's me as a Clevelander.
That's funny. And again, I'm sure you, like a lot of people, cannot even put into words what it would be like if and when the Cavs win this thing and beat the Warriors. I mean, 52 years is a long time to be without a title, Andy.
Yeah, it is. In fact, one of you mentioned, and it's so true, when the Cavs were up 3-2, that's when I was starting to go home on the film, meaning wrap it up. And that's when it sat in with me. I'm like, holy cow, the Cavs might win this thing. And I'm making a film about it. So that kind of set in, too. So for this year, it's really set in. Again, I will be fair. I had this feeling when I was growing up in 97. I actually had this feeling in 2009 when the Cavs lost to the Magic. I really thought the Cavs were going to go all the way that year. They just happened to run into a buzzsaw of shooting and Dwight Howard. This year feels that way, too. It really does. It feels like it's our year. It feels like a lot of things are going our way. The team's playing great. The Tyronn Lue thing, too, again, I mentioned that before. I think that's a big factor in this, too. So, yeah, I mean, it feels that way. I've had these feelings before, so we will have to see what happens. The only thing I'm guarded against, I know how good Golden State is. Golden State's an excellent team. My gosh, they're really good. So if they win it, it's going to be an emotional bloodbath for the Cavs.
All I can tell you is this. With Cleveland in the East, and that team built the way it is right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland is in the middle of just this great run of going to finals after finals, because I really still don't see anybody in the East challenging this team.
No, I agree. Brian Windhurst brought that up on another conversation the other day on a radio show, and I agree. I mean, the only thing I would say is, like, again, being in the sports industry for so long, things can change in an off season. Trades can happen. So this could drastically change, and that's why the other half of this last conversation should be true, too. The Cavs need to take a really good look at this opportunity they have in front of them. You may never get back. You never know. Injuries happen. Things change. I've seen this happen as a Cleveland fan. So things are fragile in the sports world, so they got to take advantage of it. But to your point, looking at the landscape, gosh, you'd think so, right? I mean, maybe the Celtics, because they have a high draft pick, maybe they make some moves in the offseason. The Kevin Durant thing's a wild card. Maybe he lands in the East. That would definitely change things for sure. So, but, yeah, I mean, the Cavs are really built, and that goes a lot to that staff in Cleveland. They've made great trades, and Channing Frye is another example of simple moves. For people who have not watched the Cavs, he has done a wonderful job in the playoffs. And Richard Jefferson, too, who really didn't play much in the regular season, it felt like, has been outstanding in the playoffs. So all those things really add up.
Andy Billman, award-winning producer. He's the director of Believeland, the latest 30 for 30 series on ESPN. And I'm just out of curiosity. Now that this is official, you put out this documentary. You're getting a lot of great publicity around Ohio and around the country. Has Dan Gilbert pretty much invited you to the finals as his guest, knowing that if and when it comes down to a potential clinch, maybe Game 7, that you've got that opportunity to go down there and experience it firsthand?
Well, in fact, while you're saying that, I'm holding his hand right now. No, I don't know if Gilbert. I don't know. Gilbert was my last interview I got for the film, and I'm really glad he did it because even if he did not do the film for me, I'm a big fan of his. And I will be there, to your point. I'm going to be finding my way to Cleveland no matter what, and being a part of it. But, it's funny. The one thing that's gotten my satisfaction has been Ernest Biner. His transformation and his perception in Cleveland again, and he just did a whole week or two in minicamp for the Browns. I got to be honest with you, that's been the most overwhelming thing for me for doing this film, is seeing how fans have really taken to him. He's a very good person. He had a wonderful sports career and had a wonderful career in Cleveland. And that's where I would say, I've been just blown away. He and I talk a lot. We usually talk almost every day now. And look, I'm growing up as a Browns fan. I'm talking to Ernest Biner. That's mind-blowing as a Browns fan. So, that's been the one. And to Gilbert, hey, if he'll just, for Gil, I just hope he enjoys the experience too, because he deserves it and that team deserves it. And, man, I mean, guess what I'm trying to say is I know starting tomorrow night and about, almost 24 hours from now, I'm going to be so stressed out for every play, pacing, walking, wondering what's going to happen, over-analyzing Twitter feeds and stuff. So, it's going to be great. But, yeah, I hope to be there for the parade in a few weeks.
You want to follow Andy on Twitter, you can do so. AJBill79. That's AJBill79. I'm sure you'll be pretty active on Twitter these next couple weeks.
Yes, and anybody for El Paso, the bandwagon is we have plenty of room. Come on aboard. Come on, please. You want to come on board. It's fun. Come on, don't you want to be a part of this? I mean, it's going to be a great ride. But, yeah, thank you. And I will be tweeting a lot for sure and reading. And, again, for anybody who has not experienced this is a big 2 or 3 week period for Cleveland again. And we've been in these spotlights before, but my gosh, if you really want some entertainment, go on Twitter the next 2 or 3 weeks when the Cavs are playing. Not just me, but others. I mean, it'll be an eventful thing. And then you got the play on the floor as well, which I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's going to be a fantastic final. It's probably going 6 or 7 games.
Absolutely.
I think as well.
Everybody would say the same thing. So, Andy, great stuff. Thanks for
Andy.
joining us.
And we're going for the Cavs. We've already said this before you got on. We said we're both going for the Cavs.
See, I knew I loved you guys. There you go, right? I mean, Golden State's had their wins. The Niners won the 80s, all that stuff. I know that's in Oakland. The A's, the Bash Brothers. It's our turn. So, yeah, come on. Cleveland. Go Cleveland. Let's all get behind it.
Congratulations on Believeland, Andy. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Hey, do me a
Thanks,
favor.
boys. Have a
if
good
and
one.
when Cleveland wins this, got to come back with us on the show. We'll talk about it then. How's that?
Oh, no. I mean, you might have to pick me off the floors. I'll probably faint afterwards. But, yes, once I regain consciousness and I get oxygen to the brain, absolutely. That would be an honor. If I'm coming back to talk to you guys after a Cleveland championship, I'd be thrilled.
Done deal. All right. He's Andy Billman joining us here on Sports Talk, award-winning producer from ESPN. And, again, the mastermind behind Believeland. If you haven't checked it out, do so, please. It's great stuff.